like to introduce to you Martin Janda, who is here in two positions, so to speak. First, he has one of the most important contemporary art galleries in Austria and based in Vienna, but also he's the president of the Association of Modern and Contemporary Art Galleries in the whole of Austria. So this is going to be his topic, and I think it would be a very positive thing for all the Bulgarian participants to hear this talk, because such an association, of course, could have its impact here for the local context. And before starting, I would just like to say thank you to the Austrian embassy here in Bulgaria, who supported Martin's participation at Sofia Art Fair. We are very thankful for that. And last note, I would say Martin is a good friend of Bulgaria, because he's been indirectly introduced to the local reality through people that we know and artists that he works with, which is a fantastic thing. So I would consider him one more friend of Bulgaria. So thank you, Martin, for being here. Please, you're warm welcome.
Thank you, Rado, and thank you for having me. Rado asked me to do a lecture on this Austrian Society of Galleries, and I took some notes, and I would do it very briefly. It's short, and then we can immediately go into discussions, if it's okay for you. 5 years ago, at the beginning of the pandemic, I took over the lead of the Austrian Gallery Association. The situation was unclear. We didn't know how long the crisis would last or whether it would fundamentally shake the art market. In fact, there were massive drops in sales. At the same time, some galleries were able to make a profit despite everything, partly by reducing costs and intensifying contact with their clients and collectors. Suddenly, everybody had more time. In this situation, it becomes clear how important an association is as a union of the most important galleries, both those that work internationally and those that serve the local market at a high level. Both are really important for an association to combine these different strategies. The goal was to work together with politicians to develop the framework conditions for what a functioning gallery system could look like in the future. Today, our association has almost 90 members. Not all of Austria's galleries, of course, but the most important ones. Together with the board and with the support of my Secretary General, I have established the association primarily as a service organization for its members. Whether questions about tax systems, logistics, or problems with institutions, the range is diverse, and thanks to the board's extensive experience, we can nearly help our colleagues in many different ways. For instance, there was a problem with a restoration for a work that was already sold to an institution. The younger galleries ask, how should we behave? What's our possibilities? And we try to help in this situation too. It's important to keep in mind the role of the gallery in the art world and in society. We are mediators between artists, collectors, institutions, and visitors. We give artistic positions early visibility in exhibitions, in discussions, and also in the market. It is important to emphasize that the day-to-day work of a gallery is mostly unpaid. Only when a sale is made, there is a profit. Supporting artists in museums exhibition in raising their international profile is often not profitable for years. Nevertheless, the steady development of artists' career is at the core of our work. And just as we evolve with our artists, so in the best scenario, we also work with the collectors. A gallery association represents the interests of galleries in many areas, first and foremost in the political arena. The primary goal to improve the framework conditions in which the art market operates for galleries and to remedy existing deficits through targeted measures. As an example, I would like to mention that Austrian artists were underrepresented on the international market a few years ago. This was the view of both politicians and the art scene. The idea was therefore to increase their visibility with the help of art fair funding program. So to support the presence of Austrian artists at international art fair. To this day, the selection of subsidized fairs is made jointly by the Ministry and the Gallery Association together. For the Ministry, the focus is on these fairs that gives artists maximum visibility on the international market. In recent years, this has resulted in Austrian artists not only being more strongly represented on the market, but also becoming more visible at biennales and international museum and gallery exhibitions. Another finding was that there was too little exchange between galleries and Austrian museums, and that the curators of the institutions did not engage intensively with the current work of the galleries. This was entirely understandable, as the tasks of the institution had also changed. They had to get closer to their audience, increase visitor numbers, become more accessible, establish educational programs, children programs, community outreach, and much more. In short, they had to reinvent their product. Together with the Ministry, the Gallery Association has therefore developed a museum acquisition subsidy that enables museums to purchase works by Austrian artists or artists living in Austria from Austrian galleries for a certain amount each year. These budgets are not very high, but they have greatly strengthened the cooperation between galleries and museums. One of the most important framework conditions for the economic success of galleries is tax legislation. We have been successful in this area in the past, but are currently facing new challenges. What is the issue? In Austria, the value-added tax on art is 13%. During the pandemic, we were able to reduce it to 5% for a short period. However, with the end of the pandemic, we have returned to our old tax rate of 13%. After the London market was exposed to massive disruption by Brexit, France reduced VAT, this tax, on art to 5.5% in order to establish Paris as a new European player in the art market. As a result, Germany, Belgium, Italy, and other European countries have also reduced their VAT on art between 5% and 7%. This means that with our 13%, we are in a really not very good position. On the other hand, Czech Republic or Slovakia have a much higher tax. Unfortunately, Austria cannot afford to reduce VAT in the current difficult budget situation, even though we managed to include this demand in the new government's program. This situation is particularly difficult for Austrian galleries, artists and collectors on the domestic market, as works purchased in other EU countries are not subject to this VAT. In addition, there is a particular market distortion, auction houses invoicing using differential taxation. That means that they just take tax from the money that they earn on the piece, and they do nothing for the development of the artist. One example of how association can also create innovative formats is the Curated Festival in Vienna, which I had the privilege to direct for 3 years. International curators work together with Viennese galleries to develop thematic exhibitions. Every fall, 24 Vienna-based galleries invite international curators to respond to an annually changing theme with an exhibition that reflects on the most pressing issues of our time. Curated by was founded 2009 by several galleries in collaboration with the city of Vienna as a platform for artistic exchange, and is still funded by the city of Vienna and supported by the galleries. The initiative is unique in its kind. It celebrates artists and promotes international critical discourse at the same time. Rooted in collaboration between galleries and organized as a citywide festival, Curated by offers outstanding exhibitions and a comprehensive experience of Vienna and its gallery scene. The festival welcomes numerous visitors from all over the world every year. This format has put Vienna on the international map and shows how associations can provide new impetus. So, gallery associations have many tasks, representing interests of the galleries, helping them to be more professional, international networking. They are crucial in ensuring that art is not dominated by large structures, but remain diverse. Art and its meditation are not just a market, they are a space for engaging with the present, a contribution to our culture, and, in the best sense, a driver of social development. Thanks a lot. So please ask me some questions.
For the participant galleries in the association, is there any annual fee or how it operates?
Yeah, it's an annual fee to pay, and we pay the general secretary, and we pay also a gallery map. And the price is, I think, 480 euros a year to pay.
And how many members you have in an association?
I started with 36, and now we are 90. So it's already a kind of a good amount of galleries but we are still looking that also more and more younger galleries are joining the association.
Okay, another question is for the art fairs, are all the galleries financed or is there any selection who will get the financial aid from the Gallery Association? And if there is a subsidies for the galleries for the art fair, is it like 50%, 30% or 100% or how much is it?
Yeah, it's a good question. First of all, everybody can apply, and the only thing is that, as I said, the selection of the art fairs are done by the Minister of Culture together with the Gallery Association. And it's not so that if one attends at the art fair, one gallery, then we help, but it must be some more galleries that go for one art fair in a region. And for the first art fair, you get 50% of the booth costs, that's it. And for the second, 25%.
So, as I understand, you have in advance list of the art fairs.
Yes.
For what you can apply for a subsidy. Yes.
Yeah. And it's also so, if you see at Basel, a booth there costs around 60 to 80,000 euros. You can only ask 10 or 13,000 for this help, because these very expensive fairs, this is not possible to cover 50% or 25%.
And the projects all are in collaboration with Ministry of Culture, or also with Economy, Culture, Ministry of Economy, or so your collaboration with the Ministry of Culture, is it only the one hand, like from the one ministry, or also a Ministry of Economy is engaged in the process, or maybe?
It's mainly the Ministry of Culture, but we are also talking to different other layers of the structure, like the city of Vienna, but also other ministers. The problem is that for our topic, it's mainly the Ministry of Culture that can help.
And one more question, and I finish. Do you have like formal forms of what are like the demands from for the galleries to be the part of the gallery association? For example, gallery has to be existed for at least 3 years or 2 years, has to organize at least 4 exhibitions in a year, or do you have this kind of
exactly this kind of things, but we have a junior membership which is much cheaper for galleries who are very young, so that they already are in the system and get our help in the beginning, because if you wait 3 years, some of these galleries don't exist anymore, so we try to help them from the beginning on. And we have, to be honest, a very, very interesting young art scene in Vienna with very good galleries, and I think it's also for the established galleries, it's a huge help to have young galleries, because they bring a different audience, and this audience develops, they also come to our galleries, so it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Starting from where you stop with the questions, how the association supports the young galleries? What are the ways in which they benefit from being in the network?
For instance, we developed for art fairs a special tariff for younger galleries, so they get a fixed price for 6,000 euros if they attend on art fairs, which means some of the art fairs are not so expensive, so they can also cover transport costs or other logistics costs. That's the one thing. The other thing is that we, on the beginning already, took them to Curated by, this festival what I was talking about, and this is also important that they have the feeling that they are very quickly part of the Viennese scene, and they really get more attention and visit us during the week if they are part of this festival. So we had our gallery had on the opening days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, nearly 1,000 people, visitors coming to see the last show, which is, if you think of 24 galleries, they all have visitors in that amount, it's already a lot.
Yeah, and I have one more question, because you mentioned also the connection between the museums and I suppose other public institutions and the galleries in Vienna. What is that the association is improving in this communication between public and private institutions?
Yeah, if you give them money that they can only spend at private galleries and not spend at auctions or somewhere abroad, then you develop a totally different discourse between the institutions and the private sector. So it's absolutely important, although it's only, I have to say, not a lot per museum that they get, but for them it's a very important part of their acquisition budget.
So they need to purchase works through Viennese Gallery. Yeah. This is what I understood. Yeah.
Yeah. Through Austrian galleries, not only Viennese.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin, for what you said. There were some very, very important things in your exposé, especially this, which Vladia also mentioned, how the museums in Austria are obliged to buy from the private galleries and to support them. So thank you for this remark, because it's crucial. In Vienna there are 2 big fairs, Spark and Vienna Contemporary. What is the role of the association to navigate between the fairs, if any? How do you cooperate or oppose to some of the ideas? Do you intervene somehow? This is my first question. And my second question is connected to your role as a gallerist. You run your gallery for 34 years now. So what are the biggest challenge, or how do you do this? This is amazing accomplishment.
About the fairs first. As a gallery association, we need a platform for all galleries to show. Yeah? And for instance, Vienna Contemporary has a selection committee, and they say this goes in and this gallery is not accepted. So for us, we have to play a neutral position in this. On the other side, for the association, it's totally important that there is one or maximum two fairs in a year that are on a high level and with an international audience. So it's not easy. It's thin ice to help, but also position. And it would be the best would be if there is one major fair and nothing else. Now we have 12 during the year, yeah, because it's a business model. So that's in a way the not so easy task. For instance, we help a lot Vienna Contemporary because we think it could be the leading fair, but on the other side, we cannot say every gallery should participate at that fair, because then there's other platforms missing. And the other thing is, 34 years, gallery is a long time, but you don't feel it because every day it's a new challenge. And with my program, which is more conceptual and sometimes also not so attractive for everybody, because it's not bling bling and it's not shiny and it's not colorful sometimes. It's a challenge all the time, and especially now in these times, it's not so easy. But on the other side, it's really a very intense work with the artist, which is for me the most important thing in this part of a gallery. And I decided some years ago just to not to think about to get. I want to finance the gallery. That's totally important because I do a living out of it. But on the other side, it's also important for me to have good shows, interesting shows, good projects, and develop the artists on certain levels. Yeah.
Is Austrian association collaborating with the Federation of European Galleries Association?
Yeah, we are cooperating.
And in which terms and how it works?
No, it's FIAGA and it's the international cooperation. But I have to say they could be really much stronger in terms of regulations internationally. They sit in Brussels or in the Netherlands, so they could be more effective in launching, for instance, trying to find a same tax on art in all the different member countries, which would help enormously.
So they seem effortless.
I think it's necessary, but it's not where it should be.
Okay, and another question is, if the Austrian Association is working on the forming database of Austrian galleries, for example, in terms of percentage of sales in GDP, profit, how it goes, and I know it's very hard to formulate like this kind of database. Most of the many sales goes maybe through cash or something, but still.
I mean, this is you don't get these numbers, never, and it's not about cash because this is not common anymore. It's really a very good regulated market already, but you don't get numbers out of your members. That's I know what the prices on art fairs cost and how many galleries are participating. So I can imagine that there are massive sales in the back that make this possible.
Hello, thank you for conversation. I would like to ask you, is in your association there are galleries that work mainly digitally, digital galleries with digital exhibition? I remember that Kunstmatrix is one platform for digital galleries. It's from Austria. Do you have some opinion in this field?
We have no members that work only in this field because it's one part of artistic practice, and we don't focus on only one practice. And we don't have a gallery that is specialized only on this, but everybody working with this. Yeah.
Thank you, Martin. My name is Boris, and I represent one of the galleries here in Sofia. It's a contemporary art gallery called Little Bird Place. We've been to Vienna Contemporary just this. Can you not hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm getting old.
Yeah. We don't have a association here in Bulgaria, as I think you've now fully understood. What would be your advice for a smaller emerging market like ours? The first steps, what would be the first steps for galleries to start to come together?
I think the most important thing is to first know why we should reunion. What are the problems, where are the tasks, and then try to talk to the main players, but then not forget the local market, which is really important because this is very often also connected to politicians, for instance. So the start would be a list of tasks, what would be needed that we can change through politics, through our work together.
And if there's no politics to be influenced, if it's very difficult to influence the politics directly, or rather the trajectory and the timetable would be too far?
I mean, you will manage this, I'm sure. It's hard work, but it's totally necessary because they are interested in a interesting and good working market, but sometimes they don't know how to. So you have to give them advices, you help them. Don't ask first about subsidies, ask about frameworks, how to develop a market in Bulgaria, for instance. Okay, thanks a lot.